weather. An uncontrollable force. Unlocking life and unleashing chaos. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme.
Yeah, it's behind us. Go, go, go!
More terrifying.
Oh, the house is going, the house is going!
And even more catastrophic.
Get away from the windows now! Come on!
With incredible self-shot footage.
Oh my God! Please, pray for us.
From the front line of fear.
I just remember thinking this. Are you joking? Is that what was coming at us?
We witness firsthand.
It feels like you're in a war.
The wrath of Mother Nature.
I thought for sure he was going to drown.
There is nothing you can do to stop a wall of flame that's devouring everything it touches. No, 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 no.
From twisted tales of terror.
Unbelievable.
Go!
There was warnings out there, but I underestimated Mother Nature.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
All we see is like the ocean just coming towards us.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Everything around you that you worked so hard for, just gone.
We meet the people who have stared death in the face.
It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
I don't think either of us intended to get hit by the core of the tornado.
And survive the full force of the world's deadliest weather. Coming up, a tropical storm rains hell on Houston, leaving people fighting for their lives and their livestock. Black summer in Australia brings not just fire, but also flash floods.
But then we were just waiting for the plague of locusts.
A 50-foot drop in shallow water shows that hiking in the tropics is no walk in the park. Close to the Gulf of Mexico is Houston in Texas. Its proximity to tropical water means it's often under threat from hurricane rains.
Keep in mind, this is all first coat.
In the suburb of New Caney are Marissa and Dennis Cesario.
We were originally not from New Caney and had recently moved here. I don't think we were as familiar with the weather pattern as we should have been.
The couple are renovating their dream home with the help of their 2 children.
Y'all like doing that?
It's a 100-year-old farmhouse, and it was our dream to have some land and live in the country. So we moved out here. The house had been flooded previously from Harvey, and so we bought it in an as-is state and began the restoration.
And over here on this little wall in between, it'll have a lower cabinet with a wet bar in it. Coffee pot will go right beside it. So my biggest thing is I wanted the house to have my own touch to it because it's our forever home.
September 17th, 2019. Forming just off the Gulf is Tropical Storm Imelda. It looks menacing by satellite, but it's far from a hurricane, and only forecast to drop 5 to 10 inches of rain.
We were never thinking that this little tropical storm was going to be this bad.
But the incoming cyclone proves you don't need hurricane-strength winds to bring catastrophic rain.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
I'm stuck. I'm on the beam. My car is moving. Please, please.
6 a.m. 20 miles from Marissa and Dennis, a mother and 3 children are stranded in a flooded car. Making their way to the scene are officers Andres Garcia and Richard Cruz.
I believe Also with myself, the fact that it didn't have hurricane in the name, it was more of a tropical storm. The highness awareness wasn't there. Tropical storms can become very dangerous.
The water was about waist deep, and the current was running very fast.
I was 200 plus pounds, and it was clearly dragging me as I was trying to walk forward. I could see there was just overwhelming amount of water inside that vehicle. I looked in the back seat and there was 3 small children there.
The current is too strong to carry out the passengers alone, so the rescue team form a human chain. The officers pull the children to safety first, but now to reach the adults, they must open the door against the ferocious current.
The current got even stronger, so at that point we started just, once again, all of us started clarifying, hey, make sure you have a good link, make sure you have a good tight hold of everybody, as he was opening up that door there, because once again, that current was coming very strong. Luckily, we were able to immediately grab onto that passenger adult and go ahead and start walking him through. As he's walking through, we're all grabbing him by his arm, making sure that he's also linked with us as well as he's walking back.
The children that we actually rescued were on their way to school because nobody expected the amount of rainfall that they had in a short amount of time. So that made a more dangerous situation for them and also for us, is because people were just going about their business like a regular morning.
20 miles north in New Caney, it's business as usual for Dennis.
The day of the storm, they were predicting only 3 to 5 inches of rain, and so I was still planning on going to work that morning. Looks like we have rapids going across the culvert here. Man, I can touch the water from inside my truck. Yeah, I don't think I'll be going in anywhere today. I think I'll mosey on back to my house. The road already had about 3 feet of water in it, so basically we were stuck at that point. Looks like we got some of Peach Creek in our backyard. Just doesn't want to stop.
Alongside water, fire is one of nature's most destructive elements, and wildfires can start for any manner of reasons. Discarded cigarettes, broken glass, or even luckily, here in Texas, it was too wet to start a wildfire. But once raging, it takes a jumbo effort to put a wildfire out. In California,
That is a crazy low.
an air tanker drops 20,000 gallons of fire retardant, requiring multiple flybys to settle the blaze. Australia. In mid-2019, the country fell victim to wildfires on an apocalyptic scale. During 7 excruciating months, over 30,000 square miles of bush and rainforest were burnt to a cinder. In December, wildfires raged near Runnerford in New South Wales, the home of aspiring cattle farmer Grant Briley and family.
So we moved to Runningford 3 years ago after living in Sydney for 40 plus years. Down here we're in the bush, secluded, we've got 40 acres, we're on the river, it's peaceful, a lot more serene. 2019, the weather was incredibly hot.
As a result, the undergrowth was incredibly dry. Everything was a tinderbox. It was so dry, it was just waiting to happen. Everyone knew there'd be a fire. No one knew it would be as large as it was.
Sure enough, in November, bushfires raged near Runniford.
We'd been preparing. We thought we were very well prepared for it. As it progressed up to Christmas, the fire had obviously grown a lot larger and surrounding a lot of bushland in our vicinity.
As the fire closes in, 40 miles to the west, Grant's family evacuate, leaving his father and himself to watch over the livestock and the farm.
We knew it would rage around us or burn around us, but I thought the river would give us a good buffer, and that if it did jump the river, it would be a small grass fire. That's not what happened.
That is a big fire.
On December 30th, Grant witnesses the first signs of the advancing bushfire.
You'd gotten used to the red sunsets and the dark clouds, but that afternoon was spooky. It was incredibly still. It was a beautiful day. And then you looked up at the sky to the west, and there was just a monstrous cloud of smoke.
Hey, you might think, nice sunset. So you look over this way and see this monster that is just growing and turning the sky black.
The colour's hard to describe. It's the angriest mix of orange and brown. If you could give a colour an emoji, it would just be the angry face.
At the minute, it's raining down, and on the roof is just all the black crap.
You start to worry about what might be coming, and it's a not pretty picture. So you start to get concerned as to what might be headed your way.
Grant and his father clear the yard of anything flammable and catch some sleep.
I thought it would take about 8 hours to get to us. We had about approximately an hour and a half sleep that night, and woke to the sound of sticks and debris hitting the roof. I got up and went to the veranda to see what was happening. My dad was already out there, and I'll never forget his first words were, "Just listen to it." It's just a boiling, rumbling, angry noise. And we just sat there thinking, wow, it was so much bigger than I ever imagined anything could be.
The fire on the far side of the river rains embers onto Grant's property.
It's incredible to see what is considered an ember. They were large pieces of tree being thrown hundreds of metres into the air. They were like meteors. Wherever they landed, the ground would just burst into flame. Things were just erupting.
Everywhere. How's it down there somewhere?
You blink your eyes, every one of my fence posts was a candle. The trees literally, there's no other word for it, they just explode.
Grant and his father leap into action.
We realised straight away that we were in for a massive fight. There were just so many things to do. I had to get the water, I had to get the cattle sorted, try to let the chooks out, but they wouldn't go anywhere. Start generators, start fire pumps. We had incredibly low water supplies because of the drought. We were waiting, and it was a bit like Braveheart, where you just had to hold and hold until it was time to unleash the water, because we didn't want to waste it. We didn't have any to waste.
But with atmospheric temperatures exceeding 150 degrees Celsius, Grant barely has a chance to start the water before he's forced to retreat.
Dad, come here. We took refuge in the house, and we just had to wait till and hope that it would pass and we could come out and attack it.
But for now, Grant's home is at the mercy of the fire.
I go up there if you want. Okay, so we're hiding in the house. It's going up like you wouldn't believe.
It was gut-wrenching to look down at the chook coop and see it fully ablaze. It was just an inferno down there.
Chooks are cooked. Well and truly.
It was gut-wrenching to know that animals that you're in care of, you just couldn't do anything for.
The heat subsides, and the men seize the chance for a counterattack.
So the top's all melted.
But they've lost their main water supply.
The water tank's gone. And that is why you don't buy plastic tanks. Because they're useless.
Grant must find another way of fighting the fire.
We had no water. We had a grand total of about 200 litres in a small tank that we kept just for watering the dogs. And we ended up fighting the fire with 2 9-litre plastic jerry cans and basically a dog bowl of water.
It's total Armageddon.
We were too busy to be scared. I've never been so calm and frantic at the same time. It was just pure adrenaline.
Eventually, the fire passes, sparing Grant and his father, but devastating the farm.
That's all gone. Everything's gone. That was the shed. I'm hoping the cows were right there down there. Anyway, we better go.
The next day, when everything died down to a point we could move around safely, it was a monochrome landscape. Everything was burnt. The soil burnt. Anything that was organic just was not there. Structures were gone. The landscape was obliterated.
Grant lost his chickens and 1 bull. But amazingly, the rest of his cattle were unharmed. But now, cut off from the outside world, they must survive the following weeks.
We had no feed for the cattle. We had no water for the cattle. To be honest, I didn't have much hope for the cattle. You know, the threat of the fire coming back was incredibly real to me, and I spent many nights freaking and worrying.
And no one could expect what happens next.
The wombats are on the loose.
We had severe flooding and we couldn't get out of the house because the river had come up.
With no remaining vegetation upstream to slow water runoff, Grant's backyard is engulfed by a flash flood.
Both ends of the spectrum, we were in a post-apocalyptic grey landscape, and we had 300 mil of rain upriver which flooded the rivers. Instantly the grass was back. So we now had feed for the cattle and we now had water for the cattle. I guess you could say it was a blessing that we got that. But then we were just waiting for the plague of locusts because something else had to happen.
Just the stupidest summer ever.
Outside Houston in Texas is I'm a Survivor Animal Sanctuary.
That's how you bring everybody home.
Owned by husband and wife Lester and Jamie Banks.
So we have donkeys, horses, cows, goats, pigs, chickens, ducks, I think, oh, and 2 alpacas.
You spend as much time, if not more, with sometimes your fur family than you do with your own family. And they're a lot better listeners, I've noticed.
September 19th, 2019, and the couple's furry haven is under threat from Tropical Storm Imelda.
You know, tropical storms come and go here. So when we heard about Imelda coming as a tropical storm, we thought it was just gonna be a rainstorm.
All right, that's the pig. As you can see, this place is flooded.
Because that thunder just felt like it was in your home is the best way I could describe it. The pastures were already underwater.
All right, here I come, Ollie. I'm coming to get you, Ollie. You have to open the gates. At this point, you open gates. and let these animals go where they can.
Ground was already so saturated that we were opening up gates and trying to drive what we call our littles, our short-legged animals, to the dry ground. And when I say dry, I just mean ground you could see. It certainly wasn't dry. And they were scared. I mean, they were all terrified at that point in time.
I'm trying to get all the animals into the yard, at least where there's still green.
Annie, you gotta come out, baby. She heard Huck screaming, and she ran back to the barn.
I know. All right, she's the only one who's not come out. She gates are open. The barn is open. That comes all the way through. So all she has to do is eventually make her way out. Water just kept coming. It just would not stop. Harvey was that flood that you'll only see once in a lifetime. Well, guess what? I've seen it twice. Got the freaking jitters.
20 miles away in New Caney, Dennis, Marissa, and their children are trapped on their property.
Our roads may be impassable, but at least we're high and dry. Thank God.
We were monitoring the yard, and the water was rising pretty significantly.
Just had to move our trucks from right there where we usually park up here onto the brick. I don't know how much longer it's gonna be before we lose our trucks. This rain needs to stop.
But the rain shows no sign of relenting, and floodwater creeps towards their recently renovated home.
Once the water started rising, it literally rose like a foot every 20 to 30 minutes. The water was just rolling underneath the house. It took out columns, it took out beams to the house that were supporting it. So in some parts of the house had sunk. So in some parts of the house, it was 2 or 3 feet deep. Everything's floating and everything's moving. You got TVs crashing down. You got everything around you that you worked so hard for, just gone. Think about everything you own being destroyed in one moment and you can't do anything about it. You take your whole life and just throw it in a snow globe while somebody shakes it. It's a lot to take in.
As their dream home collapses piece by piece, the family have no way of escape.
My biggest fear was the house collapsing and us being washed away into the floodwaters, that I wasn't going to be able to get my kids out of this house in time.
There was a helicopter that was flying around trying to look for, people that need rescued, and it flew over us a couple of times without stopping, and I started thinking, I was like, he can't see us because we have a wraparound covered porch. So on the front of our house, we have an American flag that, it's always there year round. And I pulled it off of the house when I saw him circling back around, and I started waving it. And it got their attention, and then they stopped and literally hovered right over us.
But we can't have them land anywhere. And this is what our yard now looks like. Where do we go? Not sure where we're supposed to be going.
The island of Oahu in Hawaii. Lush volcanic mountains burst out of the Pacific to create 100 miles of beautiful coastline. It's a popular destination for tourists and former home of Heather Friesen.
So I got a scholarship to play at the University of Hawaii to play beach volleyball, and I was living in Hawaii for a year and a half, but before I got to Hawaii, I'd never hiked a day in my life.
It's September 2019, and joining Heather on one of her first ever treks is fellow student Austin Acree.
In Hawaii, when it rains, it falls on top of the mountains. At the basin of the Ko'olau Mountains, all this water collects and drips down to this underwater aquifer and supplies water to all the vegetation. That's how really Hawaii stays really green.
But all this rain and resulting vegetation means hiking in Hawaii isn't risk-free.
I was a little bit nervous about going up to this hike and these waterfalls because I had heard that it was a pretty dangerous hike. So we got to the beginning of the hike and there was a sign posted that said, Cow Crater Trail, hike at your own risk. But we all just kind of laughed at it and said, we'll be fine, so we just kept going. I remember saying to one of my friends when we were on the hike, man, I better not roll my ankle or something because our season's a week away from today and my coach would not be happy with me if I got hurt.
The pair climb a 50-foot waterfall.
You're just in awe of the beauty. When you get to the top of these hikes and look out over the entire island, it's an amazing feeling. I decided to get a little bit closer to the edge.
Whoa.
You have a moss buildup, and it gets slippery on those rocks. I see this little tiny trickle of water, this little 4-inch area of water that's just trickling around. It's built up moss, it's slippery.
It felt like time just slowed down.
Heather plummets the full 50 feet, hitting a rock near the bottom of the falls.
People that have fallen from that particular place, they had died. We need to get down there. What condition is she gonna be in? Please, God, let her be okay. Painstaking groans, which was very unfortunate to hear, but at the same time, I was very thankful to hear, because I'd much rather hear noise than not hear noise. She was standing up, which I thought was just very bizarre because when you take a fall like that, most people wouldn't be standing up.
My first instinct was just that I needed to stand up and I needed to get help as soon as possible. Even though I was uncomfortable and I didn't know what was wrong with me, I just stood up. The main thing that I remember is just that I couldn't breathe very well, and my left lung felt like crumpled, wet tissue paper.
Austin reaches Heather.
You hear me? Yeah.
Yeah? Can you give me your left hand? Alright, stay there,
Having trained as a first responder, Austin knows that he must keep Heather awake and alert.
The moment she falls asleep or goes unconscious, that's where bad things can start to happen, right?
I could see this little kind of ring of stars in my vision.
Heather needs urgent medical attention. The only way to get her out is by helicopter. But the waterfall clearing is narrow with dense vegetation, making it impossible to land and highly dangerous, even with a winch.
I heard the sound of the helicopter before we saw it, and when it did come into view, I just remember waving my hands.
Heather is strapped into a basket and hauled into the air.
That was very frightening at first because I just remember laying there and getting lifted up through the trees and the tree branches hitting me in the face, and I was just very, very frightened. My expectations were that they were going to take me up into the helicopter and I was going to get transported to the hospital, but I quickly realized that they were just laying me on a stretcher and I was going to be hanging from a rope attached to the helicopter for the duration of this helicopter ride. Once I got through the tree branches, I just remember looking up at the sun, and it was such a beautiful day. And I just got this overwhelming sense of peace come upon me. And it sounds really crazy to say, but that helicopter ride to this day was the most peaceful moment of my life.
Heather is transferred to an ambulance and then to hospital.
My left lung had collapsed, I had 10 broken ribs, and my scapula, or my shoulder blade, on the left side was fractured.
Heather's injuries mean she definitely won't be competing next week and may never play professionally again.
They put 5 plates and about 60 screws into my ribs to hold them together.
Against the odds, today, Heather is fighting fit.
Because of that surgery, that's the reason why I'm still able to play volleyball today. I'm living here in Los Angeles now, playing beach volleyball professionally, and nothing hurts when I play. I'm at 100%, and I'm just so thankful for that.
Mother Nature can be a menace, creating slippery surfaces and perilous pitfalls, which can knock us off our feet. In Alberta, Canada, this woman attempts to walk her dog in dangerous conditions. She's skating on thin ice. Whilst her dog gets a grip on the situation, she clumsily claws her way back to solid ground. But her ordeal is far from over. With dogged perseverance, she goes for another slippery stroll. Eventually skating to safety. In Texas, Tropical Storm Imelda rains hell on Houston, catching everyone by surprise.
Look at that freaking rushing water over there.
Yeah, that's what I told Timmy. I said, it's like a river. I've never seen it like this before.
There's 2 vehicles completely gone right there. Trailer floated. Ah, the cliche, watch the high water.
As you can see, the water's kept rising.
Lester and Jamie Banks desperately attempt to save their farm animals.
Sorry, baby.
All of the animals are smart. They're clever. They go to higher ground. And at some point, there was just nowhere else to go.
It is raining like crazy. The front pasture is flooded. Water is starting to come inside the barn. I'm afraid it's about time to implement Plan B.
The highest point on the property is the converted barn Lester and Jamie call home. There is only one thing to do.
So we've opened up the doors to the barn house, and we've allowed the animals to go inside and hang out. Yeah, I know. We've got the duckies. Everyone is safe, guys. As of now, everyone is safe.
They thought it was a party at that point in time, still storming outside, but they made themselves at home. We had goats on the couch, we had alpaca in the kitchen, we had a pig in the bedroom, like, whatever it takes, you know?
Ultimately, we just keep going.
But now, their home also begins to flood, and some of the animals are in trouble.
After the home began to flood, we had to start to get the short-legged animals out because at that point in time, there was nothing dry.
All right, so we're having to take the little animals down past the flood waters. We have a trailer set up on the road that is gonna at least keep them a few feet higher than where they're at now. Hey, Shirley!
Using a tractor, they must drive the small-legged animals to safety, one at a time.
So as Jamie can hold on to them, we tried to do 2, but it's just too hard holding 2 at the same time. How do you feel about being Noah's Ark Transport Service.
What we gotta do?
That's our Shirley bird. This is actually my dad's little camp trailer where we're putting all the little extra goats. And for now, oh, look at the babies. For now, this is going to be their safe haven. That's Lester's Ark.
Lester and Jamie survive the storm, with all of their animals alive.
I would swim those animals out of here, and I would have swum those animals out of here if I had to, because, yeah, they were going with me. One way or the other, they were going with me this time.
Sometimes you just have to laugh, people. Sometimes you can only laugh.
Across the greater Houston area, 8,000 homes are flooded, calling for a massive rescue operation. Emergency services and volunteers save over 1,000 stranded residents, including the Cesario family.
We've been standing in floodwaters up to our nether parts for some time. We've finally been rescued by these kind gentlemen here who live in New Caney and have a boat. And they took us out of our lake of a neighborhood.
When you look around, you know, it just brings out the emotion in, you know, in your soul. Like, I'm just so glad my family made it through this. It was a lot to come back from, but we're getting there.
Some of these guys have undergone quite the ordeal. Everything's back to normal. The pastures are dry. Grass is green. That's for darn sure. Everybody's happy and healthy. And we could not be more blessed.
Tropical storm Imelda was forecast to drop 5 to 10 inches of rain over Houston. But instead, it dropped 43, comparable to Category 4 Hurricane Harvey 2 years before. Meaning you can never take a storm at face value. Saxnäs in Sweden. An isolated community of just over 100 people in the heart of the Lapland wilderness. It's a quiet and peaceful location. Mostly. For locals like William Faulknerson, snowmobiles or sleds are a way of life.
When I was born, basically 7 days after my birth, my mom and my dad put me on the sled, and that was my first time sledding. What I love about sledding is my getaway. I feel completely freedom and joy in riding snowmobiles. A snowmobile can take you places you couldn't go with a car or with some other vehicle. That is kind of priceless.
April 2018, with fresh snow on the ground, William hits the backcountry.
My friends were working, so I had to ride by myself. And I felt comfortable going out because it's almost like my backyard. I knew every place and where I should be riding.
It's one thing navigating the wilderness by day, but quite another at night.
In Sweden, around February, we only have 3 hours of sunlight. So that evening, I've been riding for a few hours, and I felt like I was getting more tired and a bit hungry. So what I usually do then is I head home, but I didn't know at the time that I would basically take the wrong turn.
A simple mistake. William goes right and off the trail.
I was just thinking that I should get to the trail anytime soon. The trail should be right around the corner, but The train never showed up, and I started to feel quite alone, and like something in my mind switched and made me go into a survival mode. I don't recognize any of the trees or location where I was riding. It felt like someone picked me up and put me in a whole different location.
William is completely lost without any phone signal. And he now slams his head torch against a tree.
Light just disappeared and got pitch black. My biggest fear that night was just go off a 50 meters drop into death, basically. Everything in this atmosphere felt like a bad dream, like a nightmare.
The situation is critical. William won't survive the night in sub-zero temperatures. His fuel tank is running low, and it dawns on him that he's not alone.
I heard something in the woods. Till this day, I don't know what sound it was or what it was. I just heard something. In the Swedish woods, we have mooses, we have bears, we have wolves, just a lot of dangerous animals. I started to think to myself, like, is this my last day? Am I going to survive this?
Luckily, he fixes his head torch. But in his haste to escape, he hits a dangerous drop-off.
I came to a drop, and I stopped the sled there, and I thought, I cannot go back, because you cannot just put it in reverse and go back, because the sled is basically gonna just dig itself down. So I have to go down the drop.
But alone in the wilderness, William must avoid injury at all costs, and decides to separate from his sled.
I just threw the sled down the drop.
He safely retrieves his sled, but around him, another labyrinth of trees fences him in.
I felt like it was a trap that I got into, because I couldn't get out of there.
Low-hanging branches are like daggers in the dark. In desperation, he hurls the sled and himself down another steep drop. But this next slope is too steep for the sled, and continuing could start an avalanche. William's completely out of options.
My cosa. Jag får något fel.
Amazingly, his phone now has a reception, and he can finally call the mountain rescue team.
He told me to go not straight down or straight sideways. I have to go somewhere in between that, because it was more drops, more cliffs you can go off.
Finally, William is back on the beaten track, but he's not out of the woods yet. His head torch dies. But using the tiny light on his phone, he makes it back to Saxnäs.
When I look back to this day, I feel happy, and I feel lucky to have survived this experience. When you're riding in the middle of the night, I don't recommend you going out by yourself.
Thick, heavy snowfall can be both fun and frightening. In Canada, an adrenaline seeker decides the best way to tackle this mountain is to go full throttle. The climb tests the man's sled to max, but he's soon off-piste, and his ride goes for a slide.
You good?
I'm good. I don't know if the slide is, though.
What happened? I thought you went off the top. You had that too.
At least it's all downhill from here. In France, daring to step on a snowdrift, this man doesn't get cold feet, but puts more than his foot in it. Despite his predicament, the pin pedestrian hasn't lost his cool.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace, us.
In Ohio, a perilous pair dare a downhill in fresh powder, but they're soon powdering their noses.
I can't see. Go on.
I can't see.
Tommy.
Oh.
Right now, they can't see their faces, and soon they won't feel them either.
Why does it always happen?
It's going up, we believe.
In this episode,
I'm coming to get you, Ollie.
we've seen that tropical storms should not be sniffed
Oh,
at.
you're so scared, baby. Oh.
You got it.
We've found that fire can occasionally call forth flooding. And we've learned if you put a foot out of line in the rainforest, you can hit rock bottom. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.